when we started looking at basically the food system as a whole, there's production, distribution, or I guess cooking and processing in some way, shape, or form, and then there's waste. And having the Hive Cafe Co-op as one of the places we can distribute, then it's starting to look at like, okay, well, production. How can we really make sure that Concordia is sovereign, has a sovereign food system, has a democratic food system? So there's already initiatives that are happening. So there's City Farm School, Campus Potager, and the current Concordia Greenhouse, which are all amazing initiatives that are contributing to being able to provide students with their own food. But when it comes to all year-round production, it seems like the current Concordia Greenhouse seemed to focus on a lot of like cultural community engagement, a lot of workshops. It grows microgreens as it stands and whatnot, but it's not a full production. So I guess we realized that was something that was lacking if we wanted to really move forward with moving the food system towards something that's localized, that's sovereign, it's democratic. And so we started developing the Loyola Greenhouse. And the Loyola Greenhouse, the mission, the vision, the value, I mean, we started looking at the infrastructure, what was possible if we want to start at the basic. We knew the community's need. We knew if we wanted to build capacity, we needed to start growing more. So where do we grow? Well, through discussions in collaboration with some people in the university and other community members that are already engaged, we looked into a space, right? Like we looked into the student center to begin with, and I guess our initial idea was to build it on top. So on top of the building, we started looking at it. We realized that there were these what are they called? They're air systems that were on top. They were newly installed, and we knew we'd had to work around that. But I guess what we started doing is looking with this firm into the development of it and like looking what was possible, what wasn't possible. So we looked into 3 different models. The first one was on the rooftop, like the one we had originally imagined. The second one was a 3-story high greenhouse that would be on the facade of the SC building at Loyola, and it's all in the SC building at Loyola. And then the last one would be an in-ground or semi-in-ground flat greenhouse that we could try to put somewhere on a terrain at Loyola. The place wasn't flexible. So for each of these options, we looked into the strengths and weaknesses, we looked into, well, advantages and disadvantages, the cost, the energy efficiency, the different sustainability strategies we could incorporate. So it turns out that the one that was option A on top of the roof, if we were to work around the systems that were on top of the roof, we'd have 15 walls. We would need to wait for an elevator to be established to be able to bring everything up. And the SC building is a complicated building in the way that it doesn't have, it's at its maximum electrical capacity. So we'd have to bring more electricity, long story short, more electricity to the building to be able to have an elevator, and that means it's going to take more time. And we want to start build, and the building itself, the idea wasn't efficient, and it was actually more expensive. So the second option, I'll skip to the third option because the second option is the one that's mostly interesting. The last option, we just didn't have a space for it. We looked around the different places, and we knew we'd have rezoning to do if we were to take it, because we're already, the university was saying that that there would be some modifications to bring forward in terms of that. And yeah, so I guess like the direction and the one that seems the most possible is a 3-story greenhouse near the facade of the building. There's 13 different sustainability strategies we can incorporate in it. And I think the idea behind this greenhouse was that if we were to have food production, if we wanted to be durable, is that we would have to make sure that it's cutting edge technology, that it would be an efficient greenhouse that would work well for its needs now and in 10 years, and that could help provide food. So I guess like I'm speaking a lot about this aspect because that's the part of the Loyola greenhouse story that I'm mostly aware of, because I was working on that during, in collaboration with the Concordia Food Coalition when I was in my CSU mandate as VP Sustainability. And so that's what we kind of did my year, the year that I was there. And now we've continued meeting, and we've had this provisional committee with different people from the Concordia Greenhouse, from City Farm School, from Sustainable Concordia, Sustainability Action Fund, Concordia Food Coalition. We're all together, and we're establishing, the governance again, like what can we do, what are the focuses. So as of now, and it just seems as though like we want to focus somewhat on food production, on internship and allowing for students to learn how to grow food. And yeah, and I think like at the end of the day, it's complementing the other groups that are already on campus. So having a Four Seasons growing, having something, knowing that the Concordia greenhouse already provides a bunch of activities, and cultural engagement is something that's like, well, let's not try to take away from what they have, and let's try to complement one another. And being everybody being part of the discussion is really great because it allows that. It allows it for us to create it together. So yeah, so that's kind of, I guess, the main story of the Loyola greenhouse as I know it. And I'm really excited to see where it's going to go. I feel like there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of possibilities, and it's just like a pillar in transforming Concordia's food system.